The Garden Beneath the Stars. Chapter 1, The Gate of Quiet Blossoms. I stand before the gate, a quiet arch woven from branches that bloom with pale flowers. Each petal holds the shimmer of starlight, and when I brush my fingertips across them, they hum softly, like distant bells lost in the night. This is where I begin, every time. Even though I never truly remember the last time I stood here, I know that my feet have found this path more times than the stars can count. Beyond the gate lies the garden. It stretches far, far beyond the edge of sight, its meadows and groves flowing into the night like gentle rivers of color and scent. The air here carries a sweetness that clings to my hair and my breath, filling my chest with something softer than any word I know. I step through the gate and feel the hush settle around me. The petals overhead sway gently in a breeze that has no source, drifting down to rest on my shoulders and sleeves. I do not brush them away. They feel like kind hands, reminding me that this is where I belong for now. The path beneath my feet is made of woven vines and moss, warm and yielding. With every step, it remembers the shape of my soles, and when I lift my foot again, it forgets. I like to think that the garden dreams through me, just as I drift through its endlessness. There are no walls here. Trees rise like quiet guardians, their branches arched wide to hold the sky in place. Flowers bloom in clusters that glow faintly, pale blues and silvers, each bloom a tiny lantern to guide my way. Sometimes, I pause to lean close, to listen to them breathing. If I listen long enough, I hear the secrets they keep, fragments of laughter, drifting sighs, the hush of things unspoken but deeply felt. I reach out and gather a blossom between my fingers. It weighs nothing at all, yet it holds so much. I tuck it behind my ear, letting its glow spill over my cheek like a small promise. In this garden, I am never asked who I am or where I have come from. I am simply here, among petals and shadows, and that is enough. Tonight, or whatever tonight means here, I feel that I should wander deeper than before. There is no hurry. My footsteps are unhurried, my breath slow and warm. I follow a curve in the path, one I do not remember ever seeing, though perhaps I have walked it 1,000 times. Each step is the first, and the last, and the only. The gate is gone behind me, dissolved into the darkness and gloom. Ahead, the path widens into a clearing. Here, the flowers grow taller than me, their blossoms opening toward the stars as if trying to hold small pieces of the sky within their petals. I wander between them, brushing their stems gently with my fingertips. They lean toward me, their soft faces brushing my hair, my shoulders. A small wind lifts, carrying whispers that sound like my name. Or maybe not my name, but something that feels like me. It circles around my ears and drifts away again, fading into the hush of the garden. I stand still for a moment, feeling the warmth of the earth rise up through my bare feet, and I close my eyes. The world does not move here, or maybe it moves so slowly that I become part of its stillness. I open my eyes again and see the path has shifted. The garden does this, makes and unmakes itself, shaping new steps for me to find. I do not mind. The path is never wrong. Where it goes, I follow. I begin to walk again, weaving through the towering flowers that rustle like silk. Sometimes, a petal detaches and drifts down to land in my palm. Each one holds a memory, not mine, but someone's, soft scraps of laughter, pieces of music that never found a home, fragments of words never spoken aloud. I hold them for a while, feeling their warmth in my skin, then I let them slip back to the earth. They will become blossoms again, perhaps. Or maybe stars. Ahead, I see an archway formed by two ancient trees whose branches have grown together so tightly they form a living gate. I pass beneath it and feel the air grow cooler, fragrant with something new. Here, the flowers are darker, their petals tinged with violet and deep indigo. They glow more faintly than the pale blooms behind me, but their light is warmer somehow, closer to the heart. I find a small pool at the base of one of the trees, its surface so still it reflects the sky perfectly, as though the stars have come to rest at my feet. I kneel and touch the water with my fingertips. Circles drift outward, carrying my reflection away. In its place, I see 100 small lights drifting beneath the surface, like tiny lanterns, waiting for me to remember their names. I cup my hands and lift a little water to my lips. It tastes like rain, like the soft promise of something forgotten and now found again. It fills me with quiet warmth, and I sit beside the pool for a long time, listening to its hush, letting the garden breathe through me. I do not know how long I sit there. Time does not follow me here. When I stand, the petals have gathered at my feet, a small pile of starlight and memory. I step gently through them, not wanting to disturb their rest. Ahead, the path glows faintly, winding deeper into the garden's endless night. I feel no need to know where it leads. I know only that it will carry me softly onward, each step slower than the last, until the world beyond the garden fades, and all that remains is the hush of petals beneath the stars. And so I walk. The flowers lean in to listen, the trees sigh overhead, and my breath matches theirs, slow, quiet, endless. Chapter 2: The Path of Gentle Footsteps. I step away from the pool, feeling the cool touch of water lingering on my fingertips. The air around me seems thicker here, almost as if the garden itself has drawn closer to listen to my steps. The path ahead is narrower now, winding gently through clusters of ferns and soft moss that press close to my ankles as I move. Each footstep lands without a sound, as though the garden wishes not to disturb the hush that wraps itself around my shoulders. The stars above shift slowly, turning like slow-moving lanterns in a sky that has forgotten the sun. Sometimes I catch glimpses of shooting lights, tiny streams of silver crossing from one edge of the heavens to another, trailing whispers of forgotten wishes. I pause when I see them, letting their fading tails brush against my eyes, wondering whose longing they carry and whether it has found its home. I keep walking. My feet sink lightly into the moss, leaving no mark behind. Even if I tried, I could not trace my own steps here. The garden is kind that way. It knows how to hold secrets and how to let them drift away like petals on a still pond. I find comfort in that. It means that nothing must be held too tightly, and that everything softens in its own time. I come to a bend in the path where low bushes spill tiny blossoms like spilled milk upon the moss. I stoop to touch one, brushing its velvet face with my thumb. The flower shivers, and in its quiver I hear a fragment of laughter, like a child's giggle caught in the folds of a dream. It makes me smile. I gather the flower and tuck it behind my other ear, where it glows beside its sister. Sometimes I wonder if I am gathering the garden, or if the garden is gathering me. My pockets are empty, my hands bare, yet each bloom that brushes my skin becomes a piece of me, carried forward in quiet footsteps. I do not mind. I have no need for pockets here. Everything I wish to keep, the garden keeps for me. The path drifts through a small grove of slender trees, their trunks pale and smooth like candle wax. They lean inward as if to share secrets with one another, their branches weaving overhead into a lattice of soft shadows. I reach out to touch the bark and feel it pulse under my palm, a gentle heartbeat that tells me these trees are listening too. Perhaps they listen to each other, to the flowers, to me. Perhaps they listen to the stars. I pause in the center of the grove. The hush deepens, filling my chest with something warm and heavy. I close my eyes and tilt my head back, letting the hush pour over me. Somewhere beyond my hearing, I know there are things that move, a breeze that does not disturb the leaves, a hush of wings that never land. I feel them brush my thoughts like silk, soft and patient. When I open my eyes again, the path has changed. It has always done this, shifting like a slow river so that I never walk the same road twice. I find the new curve easily, stepping into it as though it has always waited for me. Along the edges of the path, small lantern flowers bloom, tiny bulbs that cast a faint glow across the moss. I bend to touch one and it flickers gently under my fingertip, humming a note so soft I feel it more than hear it. I follow these small lights deeper into the grove. The air is thicker here, fragrant with something I cannot name, a sweetness that carries a memory I have never lived but somehow know. It reminds me of warm nights beneath blankets, of whispered words between half-open lips, of a hush that fills all the spaces words leave behind. I walk slowly, letting the hush grow thicker around me. The lantern flowers mark my way, small beacons that lean toward my steps as if they, too, wish to be carried forward. Sometimes I reach out and brush them with my fingers, and each one hums a soft greeting. I do not speak aloud here. There is no need. The garden knows my voice without words. A clearing opens up again, round and soft, ringed with flowers that glow pale gold. In the center, a small stone bench sits beneath a bough heavy with blossoms. I cross to it and sit down, feeling the cool stone against my palms. The hush wraps around me like a cloak, heavier now, softer too. I lean back and watch the branches overhead sway gently in a breeze I cannot feel. I sit for a long time, breathing slowly. The garden breathes with me, a quiet exhale that settles my bones. My eyes grow heavy, but not in the way of endings, more like petals folding for the night, knowing that another bloom waits within. I let my head rest against the back of the bench, feeling the hush settle deeper into my skin. I do not know how long I sit there. Maybe moments, maybe centuries. The garden keeps its own time, unbothered by the rush of clocks and sunrises. When I rise again, the path is waiting. It curves away from the clearing, narrow and soft, flanked by more lantern flowers that seem to have grown brighter while I rested. I leave the bench behind without looking back. I know it will be there again when I need it, or perhaps it will become something else, a pool, a tree, a hush. The garden shifts as I do, remaking itself around my steps. I trust it. My footsteps are slower now, matching the hush that has settled deeper in my chest. I pass under another archway, formed by two trees whose branches cradle each other overhead. As I pass beneath, the petals drift down in slow spirals, catching in my hair and on my shoulders. I do not brush them away. They belong here as I do. Together, we move forward, step by soft step, deeper into the hush. Ahead, the path begins to glow a little brighter, leading me toward the faint shimmer of water. I know, without knowing how I know, that the pond waits for me. Its surface will hold my reflection and the reflection of all the stars I have yet to gather. I feel my breath grow slower, my heart beat softer, matching the rhythm of the moss beneath my feet. I follow the hush, step by step, into the soft glow that waits ahead. Chapter 3: The Pond of Whispering Lights. I feel the path widen as I walk, the moss beneath my feet giving way to softer earth, cool and damp, carrying the scent of still water before me. I know I am close when the hush grows deeper, so deep that my own breath seems to echo softly against it, as if the garden is listening more closely here than anywhere else. Between two gentle rises in the land, the pond appears, a broad circle of water so still it could be a polished mirror laid gently upon the earth. Lantern flowers grow thick around its banks, their tiny lights trembling like quiet stars that have chosen to live closer to the ground. I stand at the edge for a moment, watching how the stars above drift across the water's skin, blending with the glow of the lantern blooms. It is hard to tell where the sky ends and the pond begins. I kneel at the edge, dipping my fingertips into the water. It is cool, carrying the softness of rain yet untouched by any storm. Ripples bloom outward from my touch, gentle rings that drift slowly toward the far bank, where they vanish into shadows and soft blossoms that lean over the pond's surface. When I lean closer, I see tiny lights flicker beneath the water, a drifting constellation that shifts and rearranges itself in shapes I almost recognize. Sometimes they look like the curve of a smile, sometimes like letters I almost remember learning to read long ago. They whisper, not with voices but with soft warmth that rises through my fingers, through my skin, settling somewhere quiet behind my ribs. I close my eyes, letting the hush of the pond fill me. My heartbeat slows until it matches the soft swirl of water around my wrists. I can almost hear the lights singing, a faint hum that grows brighter the longer I listen, yet never loud enough to break the stillness. I wonder if they speak the same language as the blossoms or if they have always whispered only to themselves, waiting for someone to listen without asking questions. I cup my hands and gather a little of the pond's glow. When I lift it, the water trickles between my fingers like silver threads, leaving behind tiny sparks of light that cling to my skin before fading back into the hush. I watch each spark vanish, feeling no loss, only a quiet promise that nothing here ever truly leaves, it only changes shape, moving softly from one hush to another. When I stand again, the moss has crept closer to the water's edge, forming a soft carpet that welcomes my feet. I walk slowly around the pond, watching how the lantern flowers lean closer to the water as if peering at their own reflections. A few petals drift down, landing so lightly on the surface that they do not break it, only add to the constellations drifting below. I pause at a small stone outcropping that leans out over the water like a thoughtful elbow resting on the pond's edge. I step onto it, feeling the stone's warmth through my soles. From here, I see deeper into the pond, where the lights swirl in patterns I could almost fall into. I imagine stepping forward, sinking slowly through that soft mirror, drifting among the whispering lights until I am only another small glow beneath the water's hush. But I do not step forward. The pond does not call me to sink, only to stand close and listen. So I remain, breathing slowly, my eyes half closed. I feel my heartbeat echo through the stone, into the water, where it joins the hush and becomes something softer than a thought. A breeze lifts across the pond, barely enough to stir the surface. It carries a scattering of petals from the lantern flowers, drifting them like quiet snow. One lands on my shoulder, another brushes my cheek, a third comes to rest on the water, sending tiny circles outward until they reach the far bank and vanish among the shadows. I step down from the stone and kneel once more at the water's edge. I whisper nothing, only exhale, letting the hush slip from my lips like mist. The pond gathers it, folds it into its depth, turns it into another light that drifts slowly beneath the surface. I wonder how many whispers the pond holds, how many quiet thoughts, gentle promises, and soft wishes have found their way here, becoming part of the endless constellation. I dip my hands into the water again and lift it to my face. The cool touch soothes the warmth of my skin, carrying away the last edge of any waking thought that tries to linger. Here, thoughts are only petals, meant to drift away when they grow too heavy. I watch them drift, one by one, across the surface of the pond until they are only ripples, then nothing at all. I rise, my steps careful on the moss. The hush is deeper here now, thick as a blanket draped gently across my shoulders. My eyelids grow heavy though I do not close them. I want to see every ripple, every soft glow, every petal drifting on the water before the pond vanishes behind me. At the far end of the pond, the path appears again, shaped from the same soft moss, flanked by blossoms that glow with a deeper hue, blues and soft violets that match the deepening hush within my chest. I follow it slowly, pausing with each step to watch the pond recede behind me, its quiet surface folding itself back into the shadows and petals. I carry its whispering lights with me, tucked behind my ribs, warm and quiet. They move with my breath, a constellation that drifts wherever I go. I know they will guide my steps deeper into the garden, each light another word the hush keeps safe for me. The path curves gently away from the pond, winding through low hedges and clusters of blossoms that lean into my footsteps. I brush them with my fingers as I pass, feeling how they tremble in greeting, each petal a small voice that hums against my skin. Their hum joins the whispering lights within me, layering one hush upon another until my own thoughts drift soft and aimless like petals on a pond. Somewhere ahead, I see the faint outline of trees, taller and broader than before, their branches heavy with shapes I cannot yet see clearly. I know the orchard waits there, its boughs thick with fruit I do not remember tasting but somehow crave. I feel no hunger, only a quiet curiosity that pulls me onward. My steps grow slower, each one a little softer than the last. The hush grows heavier around me, settling deeper into my shoulders, my hair, my thoughts. The garden is gathering me, piece by piece, petal by petal, until there is nothing left but the quiet shape of my footsteps, weaving through soft moss and drifting blossoms beneath the endless drift of stars. Ahead, the orchard waits. Chapter 4, The Orchard of Forgotten Songs. The path winds gently into a grove where the air feels warmer, touched by a sweetness I can taste even before my tongue meets it. The hush here is different, no longer only the silence of petals and starlight, but a softer murmur, as if distant voices drift through the branches above me, too quiet to name yet too familiar to ignore. I pause at the orchard's edge. Tall trees stand in loose rows, their trunks silvered with pale moss, branches heavy with fruit that glows softly in the starlight. Each fruit is round and smooth, but no two are the same. Some shimmer with a faint blush of gold, others hold a darker hue, deep as dusk, their skins flecked with tiny lights that pulse like heartbeats in the shadows of the leaves. I take a few steps forward. The ground beneath my feet shifts from moss to soft earth, sprinkled with fallen petals and small fruits that nestle among the roots. A breeze stirs the branches overhead, setting the fruit to sway gently, their movement accompanied by a faint hum that grows clearer the closer I stand. It is not a single song, but many, threads of melodies that twine through the hush, rising and falling like breath. I reach out to touch a low-hanging branch. My fingertips brush against the smooth skin of a fruit, and the hum grows louder for a heartbeat, as if the tree recognizes me, greeting my presence with a soft note of welcome. I smile at that thought and close my fingers around the fruit's curve. It detaches easily, almost willingly, dropping its weight into my palm with a warmth that spreads through my skin and settles behind my ribs. I lift it closer to my ear and listen. The fruit hums, a tiny voice carrying notes that feel older than my own thoughts. If I listen closely, I hear laughter in it, a few drifting words, and something like a lullaby, half forgotten yet comforting in its gentle shape. I do not try to remember it fully. I know that here, memories are petals, meant to drift loose when their time comes. I take a careful bite. The fruit's flesh is cool and soft, tasting faintly of wild honey and something wilder still, an echo of distant voices that become clearer with each slow chew. The song grows inside my chest, curling around my heartbeat, weaving a quiet tune I carry forward with each breath. I swallow, feeling the hush deepen again, thick and warm like a blanket pulled up to my chin on a night when the world outside is too loud to hear. I move deeper into the orchard, brushing against branches heavy with more fruit, each one pulsing with its own hidden hum. I do not gather them all, just enough to carry the songs with me, one quiet note at a time. Sometimes I pause to listen, letting the orchard's many voices drift through my thoughts, softening what sharp edges remain. Each song I taste leaves something behind, a memory that is not mine, a fragment of warmth, a sigh that lingers on my tongue before dissolving into the hush. In the center of the orchard, I find a small clearing where the trees bend their branches low, forming an open circle beneath the endless drift of stars. Here, the fruit glows brighter, casting a soft lantern light that spills over the clearing like spilled milk. I sit cross-legged on the cool earth, letting the hush gather around me, letting the orchard's songs weave their way into my breath. Above me, the branches sway gently, their fruit brushing one another with soft clicks and sighs that rise like a choir warming up for a hymn that will never be sung aloud. I close my eyes and listen to it all, the hum of the orchard, the hush beneath it, the distant drift of starlight that slides across my eyelids like slow waves on a dark shore. I do not know how long I sit there. In this place, time folds itself into the hush, too soft to measure, too gentle to count. When I open my eyes again, I see that a few fallen fruits have rolled close to my side, as if offering themselves for my pocketless hands. I lift one, hold it close, feel its hum settle into my palm. I do not eat it. I only listen, feeling the forgotten song slip quietly into the hush that lives behind my ribs. I rise slowly, brushing loose soil from my fingertips. The clearing remains still, the orchard's soft murmur curling around my shoulders as I step away. The path appears again, winding out from the circle of trees and slipping gently through more rows of fruit-laden branches that lean close as I pass. Sometimes a petal drifts down from a blossom overhead, landing in my hair or on the back of my hand. I do not brush them away. They belong to the orchard now, as I do. As I move, I taste the song again on my tongue, a soft echo that grows fainter with each step but never fully fades. It weaves into my footsteps, into the hush of my breath, into the soft glow that lights the path ahead. I know that somewhere beyond this orchard, another place waits for me, a hush shaped like pages and petals, a quiet room where memories bloom without roots or stems. I follow the hush through the orchard's last rows. The trees grow taller here, their branches arching high, heavy with fruit that hums too softly to hear with my ears but loud enough for my bones. I pause beneath the tallest tree, press my palm to its trunk, and feel it hum back, a wordless promise that its songs will wait for me, always. When I step beyond the orchard's edge, the hush shifts again. The air cools slightly, carrying the faint scent of paper and ink, of old wood and flowers pressed flat between forgotten pages. Ahead, the path curves softly towards something that feels like walls yet holds no doors, a place shaped not to confine but to hold the hush more closely. I know I am near the library. Chapter 5, The Library of Petal Memories. I follow the hush from the orchard's edge until the path softens once more beneath my feet. The earth here feels cooler, the moss thicker, as if the garden wishes to cradle each step in a deeper silence. Overhead, the stars seem to lean closer, their quiet glimmers slipping through the branches to rest lightly on my shoulders, in my hair, along the folds of my sleeves. Ahead, the path widens into a clearing, and within that clearing stands the library. It does not look like the libraries I remember from somewhere half forgotten, a memory of heavy doors and walls lined with words. Here, there are no walls at all. Instead, pale trunks of old trees arc gently upward and inward, their branches weaving together high overhead to form a vast canopy, a soft ceiling of leaves and blossoms that drift down like slow, silent snow. Beneath this living roof, shelves grow from the trees themselves, broad limbs shaped smooth by time and hush, lined with stacks of petals bound loosely with thin threads of silver and gold. Each stack holds a memory, some my own, some borrowed from the garden's endless hush. I can feel them before I even touch them, each one humming softly, carrying a breath of laughter, a whispered promise, a sigh that never needed to be spoken aloud. I step between the shelves slowly, my fingertips brushing the petals as I pass. Each touch sends a ripple of warmth up my arm, gentle and fleeting, like a smile caught between strangers. I pause before one of the thicker stacks, petals the color of dusk and dawn pressed together so delicately they seem ready to drift apart with the smallest breeze. I lift them carefully, feeling their hum slip through my palms into my chest, where it settles behind my ribs, another layer of hush added to the quiet that grows there. I do not try to read these memories. Here, they are not words, but shapes and warmth, fragments of time and feeling that have shed the weight of sentences. I hold them close for a moment, then slide them back onto the branch, where they nestle among their quiet siblings, waiting for another hush to gather them in. The library has no corners, no corridors. It curves softly in all directions, a labyrinth made not to lose me but to remind me that I am never truly lost here. I wander through its gentle turns, pausing when the hush grows deeper, when a shelf leans closer, offering a new stack of petals to cradle in my hands. Sometimes I press my nose to them, breathing in a scent that is not quite flowers, not quite paper, something softer than either, a hush shaped like the memory of a distant, gentle rain. In the heart of the library stands a single tree larger than the rest. Its trunk is wide enough that I must lean my head far back to see where it splinters into branches that hold countless shelves of petals and blossoms, some bound, some loose, drifting gently down in slow spirals to the soft moss below. At the base of this tree sits a small hollow, shaped perfectly for me to curl into, as if the garden has always known I would find my way here. I settle into the hollow, pulling my knees close, resting my back against the warm wood. Above me, the branches sway slightly though no wind stirs them. A few petals break free and drift down, landing in my hair, my lap, my open hands. I gather them gently, pressing them flat against my palm, feeling the hush they carry slip through my skin and into the quiet growing behind my eyelids. I stay there for a long while, how long, I cannot say. Time here has never asked me to measure it. Instead, it drifts like the petals, each moment folding gently into the next until the hush is all that remains. My eyes grow heavy but never close fully, I watch the soft fall of petals, the sway of branches, the shifting glow of stars glimpsed through the leafy roof overhead. When I rise at last, I carry a handful of petals with me. They do not weigh me down. Instead, they lighten my steps. Each hush they hold a promise that whatever I forget will find its way back to me when I need it most. I leave the hollow slowly, brushing my palm along the curve of the great tree's trunk, feeling its warmth hum against my skin like a quiet heartbeat. The path appears again at the edge of the library, soft, mossy, flanked by low shelves that trail off into small groves of blossoms and lantern flowers. I follow it gently, my footsteps slower than before, each one pressed into the hush as if I am no longer walking through the garden, but becoming part of it, another drifting petal, another quiet hum in its endless night. As I walk, I feel the petals in my palm grow warm. I lift them to my lips, breathing out a slow sigh that slips through them and scatters into the hush. In return, the petals hum softly, echoing the songs I gathered in the orchard, the whispers I heard beside the pond, the hush that drifted through the gate of quiet blossoms. They remind me that each place holds the next within it, and that I carry all of it with me wherever the garden drifts. Ahead, a glow shimmers gently at the edge of my sight, a soft, flickering light that pulses like a lantern cradled against the hush. I know what waits there. The garden's last gift to me tonight, a lantern that never fades, a hush shaped like a flame that needs no wick, no oil, only the soft promise that all things warm and gentle will find their way through the dark. I follow the hush toward the light, my petals tucked safely in my palm, my footsteps slower than ever, softer than the drift of falling blossoms. Each breath carries a piece of the library with it, pages without words, memories without weight, a hush that holds me as gently as the garden's endless night. Chapter 6: The Lantern That Never Fades. The path from the library grows narrower, as if inviting me to step softer than I ever have before. The moss beneath my feet is so thick that each step sinks in like warm water, rising just enough to cradle my soles before letting me go. Overhead, the stars drift closer, or perhaps my eyes have simply grown more willing to see them, to gather their hush and carry it within my ribs like a lantern cupped carefully in both hands. I move slowly, the hush of the library still humming through my bones, the petals I carry pressed gently between my fingers. Each one breathes a memory into my skin, a quiet reminder that every step forward is also a step deeper into something that has no edges. I do not mind. The garden has never asked me to find an end, only to move softly, to listen, to gather what drifts loose and cradle it for a while. Ahead, the glow I glimpsed at the library's edge grows clearer, no longer only a shimmer but a gentle flame, flickering within a lantern that rests on a small stone pedestal in the middle of an open glade. The trees here stand back, their branches woven into a circle overhead, framing the sky in a living wreath of leaves and blossoms. The stars peer through, blinking softly as if to keep watch while I stand at the threshold of this final hush. The lantern itself is simple, no glass, no heavy iron frame. Instead, it is shaped from delicate strands of silver and vines, woven so finely that they seem spun from moonlight. Within its cradle, the flame dances without smoke, its light warm and steady, never flickering away no matter how the hush breathes around it. I stand before it for a while, the petals in my palm growing warm as if they, too, wish to draw closer to that quiet flame. I kneel and set them gently on the pedestal's edge, watching how the lantern's light spills over them, soaking into each thin petal until they glow softly, becoming part of the hush that wraps around this place. I reach out and cup my hands around the lantern. The silver vines do not burn my skin. Instead, they feel cool at first, then warm, as if recognizing the hush I carry inside me. The flame flickers higher for a moment, leaning toward my fingertips as though it wishes to greet me properly. I do not pull away. I let the warmth slip through my palms, up my arms, folding itself behind my ribs where the garden keeps all its soft promises. In this light, I see the petals more clearly, each one a memory gathered along this quiet path. The blossom from the gate, pale as starlight. The lantern flowers that leaned into my footsteps. The hum of orchard fruit pressed softly between my teeth. The drifting pages of the library, each one a hush shaped like rain. All of them glow now, their soft lights weaving together around the lantern's flame until it seems not one flame but many, each petal a wick that never burns down, each memory a breath that never drifts away. I lift the lantern from the pedestal. It weighs almost nothing, yet its warmth is heavier than any burden I have ever carried. It hums against my palms, a soft thrum that matches the beat behind my ribs. I stand slowly, the hush wrapping tighter around my shoulders, my hair, my heartbeat. The garden watches without watching, trees leaning closer, branches sighing, blossoms drifting down to brush my cheeks like kind hands. With the lantern cradled before me, I take my first step from the glade. The path appears beneath my feet, a narrow ribbon of moss and petals that glows faintly in the hush. Each step I take feels slower than the one before, my breath matching the gentle sway of the flame. I do not hurry. There is no place to hurry to. The garden folds softly around me, whispering with every leaf and petal that this hush is enough, that the flame will never ask more of me than this. As I walk, the lantern's glow spreads outward, touching the branches overhead, brushing the blossoms that lean in to listen. Where its light falls, the hush deepens, growing thicker yet lighter all at once, like a blanket pulled higher against my chin, softening every thought until it is only another drifting petal. I pause by a small pool, its surface so still it could swallow the stars whole. I kneel and lower the lantern until its glow brushes the water, sending ripples outward like silver rings. The stars above lean closer, mirrored perfectly below, and for a moment I cannot tell whether I am standing beneath the sky or within it. The hush makes no distinction, and so neither do I. I breathe slowly, letting the lantern's warmth slip from my palms to my chest, where it settles like a gentle flame that will not fade. I stand again and continue along the path. Each step grows slower still, my soles pressing deeper into the moss, leaving no trace behind. The garden gathers my footsteps as it has gathered every hush I have offered it, folding them gently into its endless night. I feel the flame inside my ribs glow brighter, steady and warm, a soft promise that even when my feet grow too tired to wander, the hush will carry me onward. I come at last to a small rise, crowned with a circle of ancient stones half buried in moss and petals. I stand at its center, the lantern held before me, its light spilling over the stones, brushing the trunks of trees that lean in close as if to hear the hush for themselves. I lower the lantern to the earth, pressing it gently into the cradle of moss at my feet. The flame does not flicker or waver, it settles deeper, humming softly as if to say it has always belonged here. I kneel beside it, pressing my palm to the soft earth where its glow spreads outward like water. I feel its warmth slip through my skin, pooling behind my ribs until I can no longer tell where the flame ends and my heartbeat begins. I close my eyes and breathe. The hush folds tighter, thick as night yet softer than any dream I could carry alone. Somewhere beyond the circle of stones, the path continues, but I feel no need to follow it now. Here, the garden gathers all that drifts loose, petals, footsteps, songs, whispers, and weaves them back into the hush, shaping them into a promise that the flame will never fade. Not here. Not within me. I press my forehead to the moss, listening to the lantern's hum echo through the earth, through the hush, through the quiet shape of my breath. I know that when I stand again, the garden will gather itself around my shoulders, my hair, my slow heartbeat. And wherever I drift next, I will carry this hush with me, a soft, endless flame that needs no wick, no oil, no name. I rise at last, slowly, gently. The lantern glows at my feet, warm and steady. The garden sighs around me, branches swaying without wind, blossoms drifting down to rest in my open palms. I breathe once more, letting the hush slip from my lips like a promise that does not need to be kept because it will never leave. I turn from the stones, my footsteps softer than petals, my breath slower than any thought that might remain. Behind me, the lantern hums on, its hush folded gently into the garden's endless night. Ahead, the path drifts softly into shadows and starlight, each step a quiet echo of a flame that never fades. And so I walk, slowly, softly, endlessly, beneath the stars that gather close to listen, within a hush that gathers all things gentle and warm.